It was kind of nerve-wracking. I felt excited, but also, gosh, how am I going to pull this off? You know, these two versions have worked pretty well, and you know, both actresses have done really well, and how am I going to live up to this legend? So yeah, all that goes through you, and you know, and also the fear of does that mean this is it for me, and that's all I'm going to be remembered for? Is it going to, you know, all those things go through your mind. I think with any role, you always think of all the pluses and all the minuses, and you always weigh them up, and the pluses outweighed the minuses, obviously. And I just thought, you know, the main reason for me was Peter Jackson. This is a man who is at the top of his game in terms of the effects. And also he made films like Heavenly Creatures, which was one of my all-time favorites. And it's so emotionally complex. And to me, that just seemed like a perfect combination, because that's what this film is. It has, you know, a great heart and a very, it's one of the most moving, uniquely moving love stories. So I jumped on board. I did. I met both Jessica and Fay, but it started with Fay, and it was a very memorable night. We all went over to a friend of hers' house for dinner, and for Peter, it was a big, big moment because, you know, since he was 9 years old, he'd loved this movie and her, and so he was quite moved by the honor of being in the same room as her, and as was I. And I was introduced, and she was just lovely. She couldn't have been more delightful. And she gave me her blessing at the end of the night. No, she didn't, because I felt bad about, you know, bombarding her with questions, because it was, you know, a first meeting for all five of us, and it just, you know, it didn't feel right. I was hoping for another meeting, but sadly she passed on. It's just a pure, compassionate, gentle love, just so caring and paternal. You know, it's these beings could not be more diametrically opposed in so many ways, but yet they have kind of parallels. They're desperately lonely, and they've been hurt and wounded and so many times, and they kind of identify with each other and sort of know each other. And I think that's what love is knowing the other and allowing yourself to be known, and that's what happens here in this sort of very odd setting, and they just become so protective of one another. He was always set 25 feet above me, and I was able to look at him all the time, which was absolutely key, just to have Andy there, and we were able to connect and see each other. And then, you know, most of the time, as you know, I was in his hand, and so they'd have me strapped into this kind of seat that was, would have a kind of blue foam ring around it, posing as his clutch, and it would move around, and I would always be looking up at Andy or looking around in the jungle, or and sometimes it would move slowly, and sometimes it would be like a really mad movement, and it would hurt, you know, the old neck would. But yes, oh gosh, I don't know. I think it was because I moved around a lot, and always trying to fit in, you know, always going to a new school and trying to find, you know, the group of friends that will accept you, and working hard to make that happen. And then I think that must have had something to do with it. But then, you know, my brother had the same life as me, and he didn't become an actor, so who knows what it is. I think it's just kind of in you or not. And it was always in me, I think. It wasn't something that I decided much later on. I think I knew from the age of about 4 or 5 that I wanted to be an actress.